All right, it's recording. Yeah, you have to confirm.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'll do
Great,
that
great. So now
right
we're recording. Awesome. We're
hold
hanging
on
out.
a second. Okay, I do give record consent, whatever. Oh my gosh, dude, this is like some found footage. Audio quality's
Yeah,
good.
no, it's real good. And so we're here talking about a movie that
Yeah,
I love, but it's not my favorite movie, but I do love it. It's like, but it's sort of entry level love for me. It sort of straddles the line between like a lot and love, and I just barely love it. And this movie
okay.
is Dog Day Afternoon,
Wow.
which was directed in '75
Yeah,
by Sidney Lumet, who is, one of a lot of people's favorite directors. I mean, The Verdict is a great film with Paul Newman. The Serpico is probably my favorite movie by Lumet,
cool.
and he's sort of helped define the '70s motion picture industry and culture. Um, so, without any further ado, Will Daly, what do you
Yeah.
think about Dog Day Afternoon?
Well, like I said, it's been a minute. I don't really remember. It wasn't really my thing, so I don't want to just hate on your, movie you like a lot, especially because, I mean, honestly, I sort of, I used to just like hate every movie from the '70s and just not want to see any of them generally, like because there's this like kind of grungy vibe. But lately, I've gotten more into that because I don't know. It's almost like it's just comforting in a weird way because it's not uptight or something. But as for this movie, like I was saying before, it sort of seemed like it could be a play, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it's like I kind of expected like to be some kind of globe-trotting adventure, not really like a character piece. And a lot of the stuff reminded me a lot of Woody Allen, like the little like funny things where like he's trying to hold people up, but they have to go to the bathroom, and so he's being like humane about it. And that was well, I couldn't tell if that was like copying Woody Allen or that was just like the vibe of the era, and like Woody Allen expresses it well enough that I get reminded. But yeah,
Well, it's Woody Allen is has a different tone, although
yeah,
he is kind of has this same nervous energy.
yeah,
Woody Allen is a
well,
lot more like neutral toned and like chill.
yeah,
He's sort of like giving you a shtick when he's neurotic.
yeah,
Al
well,
Pacino's character in this Sonny,
yeah,
he's not really giving you a shtick. He's sort of showing you how fucked up he is with his like strange like quirks and like sort of rapid temper and like I
yeah,
mean rapid temper was probably a little eccentric, but the way to put it, rash temper,
yeah.
um, I wouldn't call him quixotic, but and but I might, depending on the movie, I might say Woody Allen is quixotic.
Yeah, just kind of a more, I don't know what the word is, a less threatening quirkishness versus something.
But you didn't like any acting or any sequence in
Um,
Dog Day Afternoon?
Not really, man. I mean, I might have just been in a mood or something. I mean, it's not like I don't hate it; it just sort of didn't connect with me.
How much you watched a fair bit?
Yeah, I think I saw maybe about half. Uh,
Yeah, well, if you didn't connect with it after half of it, yeah, then something's up. Because
yeah,
I find it to be kind of not only just a well shot film with a lot of different angles and continuity and
yeah,
what you might call elaboration or escalation. com-
yeah,
Um, I thought that was like really stitched together
yeah,
in a very very not delicate, but just like a very like a package that was sort of reliable and like
yeah,
I felt like it was a reliable film in terms of the way it was shot. It didn't. I never felt like I was being led on some wild goose chase or down a rabbit hole or something with the photos.
yeah,
But the I do think that there's a certain corniness to the way that the way that they acted kind of like children in the when they robbed the bank, and they were such clear incompetence.
Yeah, like the first guy sort of backing out and then running away, and that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he says his name. And then when he leaves, he said Sonny says he reveals who Sonny is. He says Sonny's name, and then when this character leaves, Sonny calls him his name, which I believe was Freddie or something.
Yeah.
Was it might not have been Freddie. I forget what it was, but he and then he just dips. The security guard unlocks the door and lets him out, and he's just off, to the races or whatever the fuck. And it's like, I mean, he's seriously just let loose. Like he's just
Yeah.
let, and I don't know what's going on with that story wise. It seems like it was it was merely expositional. It was there to illustrate the incompetence of the characters.
Yeah. Well,
It didn't play into the any other scene in the film.
I mean, I think it could in a way. It does sort of seem to. It seems to have some significance. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's almost like he's kind of stupid, but in a way, he's the smartest of them all. Because I mean, I assume the whole thing ends in like a horrible failure, right? I can only imagine.
Yeah, they get caught at the airport. They take the plane to the airport,
Yeah.
or sorry, they get driven to the airport with the hostages, and
Wow.
then once they're on the tarmac,
Yeah.
they get surrounded by like 20 cop cars,
Wow.
and then you just see his face like, well, I've had such a dog day afternoon. He's like he's sweating bullets, and he's just like, he doesn't say dog. He doesn't say that, but
Well,
he
it
says
sums
it in
it up.
everything but words.
Yeah. Dang. Well, I'm glad they sort of go somewhere else. Like I said.
Yeah, I mean they did get out of that bank, but it was momentary. One
Yeah.
one good one good scene though is that there's a black driver that's
Yeah.
sort of like setting up the car,
Yeah.
and then Al Pacino's character demands that that guy drive the car and not have a detective drive the car.
Oh yeah.
And so the black driver's like, I don't really want to do that, man. He's like, no, don't worry, man. I'll give you five grand. You'll have 5 grand by the end of the night. And
That's funny.
and so he gives him and so the black driver's like really happy, and
Yeah.
he's like, all right, I'll drive. And as soon as he gets into the wheel and starts clicking everything together, Al
Yeah.
Pacino's like, no, get the fuck out. He's like, what? And he's like, get the fuck out. He's like, why? It's like, you're a cop. Fuck you. Get out.
Uh,
And then he turns to the detective who's watching the whole thing. And he's like, you think I'm an idiot?
yeah.
And then he just kind of assumed that he was a cop. And then I don't know. We never find out if he was one or not. We just see him sort of being this raving madman.
Yeah. Can't tell whether it's paranoia or justified.
But he was set up. I mean, he did. They never let him get on the plane.
Yeah. There was never a chance to
It
begin
seemed
with.
it seemed kind of like he hadn't shot a hostage. It's weird because in what circumstance could he, with the hostages at his disposal,
Yeah.
what circumstance would they have let him get on the plane? Did he have to kill one hostage in the bank? Two? Before they
Uh,
took him seriously? He didn't kill any.
yeah. Yeah.
He was a gentleman the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
Really.
He was too nice of a guy, honestly. I mean, if he was, for someone who's robbing a bank, it's bad enough.
Well, I think a lot of people rob banks don't have the guts to kill anyone, but he just fucked it up. It's a weird movie though because it's based off a true story, and you're wondering, well, why did they pick this particular failed bank robbery like in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Why? Like, wasn't there another one that happened at some point? I mean, what makes this special? And
Yeah.
you find out when you watch the film that this guy was paying for his parents. He was paying his parents rent. He was paying for their livelihood as a bank teller. And he worked in the bank, and he went crazy, and he had a wife and kids, and his wife just got really fat and she's in the movie and stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I saw
And
that.
and she's like, and he doesn't loses interest in her, and he pursues a relationship with like a transgendered man or whatever, like who was like trying to have surgeries to become a woman, and that person's in the movie too.
That's
Leon.
good. They don't really tell you about any of that. Wait,
Well, they don't tell you, but it's in the movie.
yeah, but do they like? Is it mentioned in the movie?
Yeah, there's like, that's what I'm saying. You have to finish it. They had like,
Okay.
And then the mom shows up at a bunch of people visit him or call him on the phone, including the boyfriend or whatever. But then, and it's all supposed to be funny. Like at one point, he goes to he on TV. It's like these two homosexuals are robbing a bank and holding everyone hostage, and then John Cazale's character looks at Sonny, and keep in mind John Cazale's holding like a submachine gun this whole movie, right? So which makes it great.
Yeah.
He's like the nicest looking person ever, but he's holding this like
Yeah.
MP40 contraption. Anyway,
Yeah.
but then he's looking at Al Pacino, and he's like, "But Sonny, I'm not a homosexual." And Sonny just gets all kind of like sad faced. He's like, "I don't know what you want me to say, man. I can't control the TV."
Yeah, you want a little bit of glory from that at least, and you can't get that.
And so when the detective comes in, in a couple, 20 minutes down the line, John Casal's character pulls up the machine gun at him, and he's like, "I'm not a homosexual. I want you to go back there and tell the TV people I'm not a homosexual."
Oh my god,
And so the detective's like, all right, I'll go back and I'll tell them.
that's funny.
Yeah, well, it's back then, and then there. What was funny was that the transgender partner or whatever was like kind of respected, and at the end of the movie, they even had it in the credits, like, or in the end title, they're like, "Oh yeah, and Leon is now a woman and lives happily in some place." Like
Wow.
they kind of respected that part of it,
Yeah.
but at the same time, they are obviously using it as sort of a gay joke. So
Yeah.
it was kind of this mixed message of like, is this like, it seems sort of like seems sort of homophobic, but at the same time, they are kind of promoting this
Yeah.
like this dynamic between the protagonist and his transgendered partner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then at the same time, and we never figured out why he was dating them. He just
Yeah.
seemed they made it seem like he was just stressed out from having a fat wife who was annoying, and
Yeah.
that was kind of the only indication. And then the other thing was that the mom shows up at like the end, and I don't even remember this scene that well, but
Yeah.
she's just like yelling at him, like, well, not yelling at, not berating him, but like
Yeah.
she's like hooting and hollering and screaming in grief.
Oh
Oh,
jeez.
and this movie it's so dumb because it's good because it's dumb, and it's dumb because they have this guy running outside,
Yeah.
Sonny's character, and like confronting the police like every 10 minutes or so, and he's like
Yeah. Yeah.
always yelling some different shit, and it's like this is not how a bank robbery or a hostage situation goes, like where he's like he's sort of exposing himself.
Yeah. Really. Oh man, it really does seem like a I don't
It's
know.
a comedy of errors,
Yeah.
at least
Exactly.
at the beginning, and then it's just him dealing with the consequences from there on out.
Yeah. Gradually becomes tragic. Yeah. That's a great way to describe it. Honestly.
One scene I really liked was when the wife was caught at like a subway station. They identified her or something. She's
Yeah.
with a kid, and she's like, of course she's obese, but she's eating McDonald's like
Uh,
on like a
yeah.
table by the subway station.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, and I could just for the life of me, I couldn't figure out like what kind of relationship people in the 70s had to McDonald's. Like it's hard to even imagine people going to McDonald's in the 70s, but
That's
apparently people did it. Yeah.
I know it's kind of like it was newfangled for it to be like horrible. I think.
Yeah, I think that was like the turning point. Was it was
Yeah, that's like before people realized how bad it was. Kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, they must have thought it was kind of sleek or something. Like, hey, you get the same thing every time you go there.
Yeah. Wow. It's so clean in here.
Yeah, they don't make any mistakes. It's always the same, pitch perfect. Yeah.
That's great.
Anyway, so we could probably wrap up this talk. I know you didn't enjoy the film. What would you give it? What kind of letter grade would you give it, or how many stars would you give it?
Uh. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's very subjective.
What's your meta score?
Like you said, I don't even trust that stuff. I don't know. Thumbs up or thumbs down. It wasn't really for me. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like a
What was like the part that made
6
you
or 7.
that turned you off to it? Like, what really turned you off?
Yeah. Let me think. I think there were like some lines of dialogue where it was just like sort of weirdly obvious, or I don't know. It was kind of like I found it hard to care or something. Like his character is interesting, but his wife is just really fat. I mean, at least I didn't really know what the stakes were. I mean, I know the stakes is like he's gonna die if he just keeps doing this, but beyond that, oh, an unsympathetic protagonist maybe. I don't know.
You don't like Al Pacino? Do you ever like?
Yeah, I actually sort of don't. I don't, and for that matter, I don't really like. But that's what I'm saying, man. I kind of have a bias against the '70s. I mean, I don't really like what's his name? Who's the guy in Kramer?
Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah, I don't like him either.
Yeah, they both have like really prominent noses, and they're like short and sort of
Yeah, yeah,
thin.
exactly. They're very similar.
I mean, they kind of have this like everyman look, but at the same time, not a lot of people really look like them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's like like I think they're iconic enough that you forget that people don't actually look like those guys.
Yeah, it's pretty true. I don't know. There's something about them. It's like the whole kind of. I'll tell you what it was. I mean, I honestly have a lot more to say about Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh yeah, let's move over. I like Kramer versus Kramer. I felt like it was sort of
Yeah.
in many ways a counterpart to this film. Like it has a sort of a similar theme.
Well, I mean, the
It
acting
has
is
the same
similar.
theme, really. I mean, it has the same theme. It just has a different story.
Wait, what's the same theme?
Well, it's just like a down a you know a miserable working man that has to make do with a bad situation,
Yeah,
and he's been kind of fucked over by his family and the wider society
yeah,
in ways that aren't really that well understood. And I
yeah,
think the whole theme is kind of like, okay, what do you do now that you're desperate? All of a sudden, you wake up in the morning, you can't live like your life like you used to. You're desperate.
yeah,
That was kind of what both of those characters had to do had to grapple with. And like I think that one's more of a like they both lose their wives. They both, and like I think obviously, and in this one case he doesn't bother with the kids. He just wants to go rob a bank. And in the
yeah,
other case, he actually has to support the kid entirely on
yeah,
his own.
yeah. I mean, I think it's true they both won something, but I feel like what's his name? The guy in Kramer versus Kramer seemed to have like definitely seemed to have his money pretty much sorted out. I mean, there's that time when he goes to get a job. Um, you know, on the last on Christmas Day, he goes to get a job just so he's not a deadbeat because he lost the like American Airlines account or something. He's not really working class. I mean, the guy in Kramer versus Kramer is pretty rich, but I don't know, he just doesn't appreciate his family. I mean, I feel like something similar to both movies is they don't. I honestly just felt like neither one really told me enough about what was
I
going
did,
on.
they're not working class. I said working. I didn't say
Oh,
working class.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, working man. Okay, like in Kramer, it's sort of just you see her walk out, which is really like boldly sort of almost starting at the end. But I guess I would like to see some flashbacks, and I really wasn't sympathetic to Meryl Streep's character. Also, something funny is like I read on Wikipedia that like what's his name Kramer had like slapped Meryl Streep, and it was like this big hullabaloo. So, like I was waiting the whole movie for him to finally be like, you know what, I can't believe you have the audacity, and like then like suddenly slap her, and it would just be like, oh my gosh, what a moment! I can't believe that's actually a
Yeah.
or whatever.
And it never came to
Slapping.
close.
Yeah, and then it turned out he just like slapped her hand or something, and he didn't tell her he was going to slap her hand away or something.
Yeah, you think he would just like front kick her down the flight of stairs by the way she acted.
I know, because it's so. I mean, just
You think they abandon the kid and make him have to do all the dirty work and like
well, more than
you
that,
think
just
he just throw her
walking
out a
out,
window
not
or something.
communicating, abandoning the kid who's just a kid who has no stake in this. Like you can't, you have to like wander around the train station like a pervert. Like it's not the way to be. But
Did he wander around the train station? I
uh,
don't get.
he didn't, but she did. Like she would like go to the train station just to like look at the kid from afar. Not the train.
Yeah, and didn't she wanted to come back at one point, and
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
some
No,
stuff
the
going
whole
on.
movie was about their giant, grueling custody battle. And then at the end, she goes up to say hi to the kid, and then she also tells him like, "Oh yeah, you know what? You should have him." Like that's even worse because like setting aside all these people's like weird narcissistic mind games, mainly her narcissistic mind games. Like this poor kid wants to like see his mom. He wants to have his family together. then like he's so destabilized, and then it comes out, oh yeah, mom's gonna take you back, and then like, oh no, mom's just gonna meet you once, and then you're probably never gonna see her again. It's like,
Y-
imagine the kid. It reminded me of Marriage Story in that I think in both of those movies, kid has a bowl cut, which is almost like a symbol that he's like not really important. You know, like he's sort of like a. I mean, in a way, he's obviously a huge part of the story, but I mean, it's not really from his perspective. It's not his story because he's just a kid, I guess. Um, but I guess the thing I was saying about the extra version, which has like its ups and its downs, the extra version of the '70s. There's this scene where is it is it Dustin Hoffman? Yeah, there's a scene where he's talking to like this lady who's also a divorcee, and they're
Yeah.
watching the kid. It's right before the kid falls off and it hits his face on the airplane, and he Dustin Hoffman's like he's like comforting her, and he just like rubs her face. And I was like, wow, that was like so bold. Like you would never get away with that. I mean, I know it was just like a moment of like sort of simple kindness. There was nothing sexual in it at all, but it was just like, dang, that's you can't just like grab someone's face, even if they're a close friend. I mean, especially if they're a close friend.
You know, yeah, there's a lot of like sort of controversial like 70s ethics questions that come out from this movie, but I also feel like
I think
the
you gave
movie's
both
good.
sides a fair shake, but sorry to interrupt.
The
Go ahead.
good is the movie's great for not even for that stuff, and I don't think it would be in any case. But I think it's great for a different reason entirely, and I think it's great because they have the scenes with the kid being sort of like parented by this dad who like kind of has to act like the mom, but he's
Yeah,
also and he has to like sort of like feed him like weird, kid food
yeah,
that like the French toast, or I
yeah,
forget what it was, but the kid was like he didn't want to eat something, and he's like, "Well, you said last week this was your favorite thing.
yeah, yeah,
Why?" And he was getting like really mad, and
yeah.
like
And he
you could
went to get
tell
the
that
ice
he was
cream.
getting viscerally angry at his son. It was
Yeah,
like Abraham and Isaac. It was like wow, he's just getting. You could feel that vibe, and the acting is so good in this movie.
yeah,
And but then it peters off a little bit once you get into all the social dynamics and the identity politics and all that. Once you get into all that stuff, then the movie I think loses its luster.
oh, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like both sides gave him a fair shake. Like both of their speeches were sad, and they both made a good point that they should have the kid. I didn't think I wasn't like offended by the politics of the movie. The only thing that like kind of annoyed me was like I feel in a way I don't know. It's like there wasn't really enough credit given to the how sad it must have been for the kid and how I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's interesting seeing him in this movie vis-a-vis Rain Man because Rain Man he kind
Oh
of is
yeah,
played he is kind of a childish character. He's
yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
a childish character, and in this film he's sort of the Tom Cruise character in that one where he is
yeah.
a bona fide sort of
He's the adult,
patriarch.
the authority.
He's
Yeah,
the adult, and he has to lay down the law, but he also has to set the boundaries, and he can't
yeah,
for himself and for his son, and he can't overstep them. And he's living in this New York City apartment that's like kind of eerie, in like sort of isolated and not the best place
yeah,
to grow up anyway.
yeah,
And then Meryl Streep's gone, and which is a total dick move, but she's
yeah.
kind of
Exactly.
she has her way of sort of reeling in an apology toward at the end,
Yeah,
but like that's just denouement. I mean I don't think that was what made the movie good. I think what made the movie good was what this is the slice of life with the single parent and an unconventional sort of
actual
swap role.
situation. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that was what made the movie good. I don't think the interactions with Streep and Hoffman were really like what drove the film home for me.
yeah. You're sort of saying it's that sense of realism, that sense of place, and or something like that. Huh?
Yeah, it felt like an exploration in a sociological sort of phenomenon that
Yeah,
we don't really we kind of take for granted. We not take for granted, but we overlook in this country.
yeah.
Maybe even in most countries.
You just mean like single fatherhood in general, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't know. I mean, and to be fair, like it's there are movies that do the other that go the other way, where it's something that's about the woman's perspective
Yeah,
that is overlooked, and we're not watching that movie, are we? So like we are exploring our own bias by watching this movie, but I think that doesn't mean that we're wrong. It just means that we have a limited perspective that we should acknowledge.
yeah, I think you're right. Certainly, I think. Well, I remember Meryl Streep also says like sometimes fathers abandon their kids, run away, and now mommy has to run away. I think in either case,
Yeah, it's so crude. I know the way she acted was really despicable, and
yeah, yeah,
it made me like it makes me kind of like not like her the. It was a good. She did a great job at the portrayal. Like I almost didn't like Meryl Streep because of it.
yeah, yeah,
Like that's how you know it's good when you
yeah.
start to hate the actor.
Well, the guy who played Hannibal apparently like a lot of he like alienated his girlfriend or something because she couldn't see him except as Hannibal Lecter.
You mean Anthony Hopkins?
Yeah, yeah,
Where he was like old when he did that.
yeah,
I don't know what girlfriend he had, but if he was
yeah.
so old, I mean, who cares? I mean, but yeah, I guess you're right.
That's funny.
It's, I just think like, oh yeah, his ancient man's like
I know.
young hot girlfriend or whatever is like doesn't like him. Yeah, well, what else is new?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I know. When you put it like that, it sounds just like an excuse or something.
Yeah. So what other movie have you watched recently? I
I
thought.
recently watched Moonrise Kingdom just because some kid had watched it, and I was like trying to help them with their essay. And as
Yeah.
I did, I realized like, wow, like I really like this movie. I just think it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
I like the Boy Scouts. I like the whole idea of it, but I just can't get into to
quirkiness, that like quirky style.
well, it's not live. It's all live action, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, then I'll have to watch it. I kind of assumed it was going to be along the lines of Fantastic Mr. Fox,
Yeah, that one's
which
not
is a
that good.
movie
I
I
mean,
didn't
yeah, I
like.
don't really like that one. Not so
Wasn't
much.
there also a movie about a dog or something that was a
Yeah,
Wes
Isle
Anderson?
of Dogs. I didn't like that one either. Yeah, I mean, I feel like when he animates stuff, he gets like way too. He like should not be allowed to do stuff in his style because he just gets indulgent. It's like, in fact, I feel like that's the worst part of that movie. The whole like quirky like side angles where he has total control and so he makes it all cutesy. Like it's just uh that's just
Well, I think he's an interesting sort of person because he's not tour, and because of that, it's hard to call any one of his movies bad.
yeah,
But I think some of his movies might be viewed as just kind of bad in the few
yeah,
in years to come.
yeah. I agree. I think they're either like indulgent or they just like it doesn't work somehow, or he like has too much free reign for his annoying
So,
quirks.
but I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really speak. Where I do not
Oh,
know
you
their.
saw Moonrise Kingdom a while ago, at least.
I've never seen it.
Oh, I thought you did. You like the Boy Scouts. You said.
No, well, I've seen like previews. I mean,
Oh
I've
yeah,
seen like clips, but I haven't seen it.
yeah.
And
It's
that's
really good.
it's overdue. I saw the one. It's weird. I didn't see that one or Isle of Dogs, but I did see the one, or
Yeah,
I did see Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I don't remember it that well.
yeah.
And then I also the one, but Barton Fink, right? Is the first one?
I don't think so.
One of the first ones he did was Barton Fink, or was that a
I think that's someone else. I don't think Wes
was
Anderson
that
did.
Coen Brothers?
Yeah, I know it's not Wes Anderson because I sort of remember his early stuff, and that's not
Oh,
one of
sorry, I don't mean Barton Fink. I mean the one where there's a school kid. Jason Schwartzman plays like a kid in school.
Bottle Rocket, maybe.
It's not Bottle Rocket. It's definitely a Wes Anderson movie, but it's like um
Yeah.
he's in like a high school. The kid's in a high. It's about a kid in a high
Oh
school.
yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
Oh, I no, I have seen that one.
Yeah.
Rushmore.
Oh,
It's called
sorry.
Rushmore.
Oh yeah, yeah. I want to though. I mean, I feel almost like if you go earlier in his work, like he doesn't have so much. He doesn't have so much of that cutesy side angle stuff, which it's almost like it's like this vine that overgrows everything, and it's like I don't really need it. I don't appreciate it.
You
Like I
you
said,
didn't enjoy the Royal Tenenbaums?
I did, but not because of the that side angle. Like the Royal Tenenbaums, I like it because it has some realism. It has some like, you know, normal shots that aren't. aggressively twee and whatever, like parallel or sideways or whatever you call his style. But yeah, here, let me look. Sorry, this is so weird, but let me see if I can find Kramer. Oh yeah, yeah. Kramer versus Kramer reminded me of my own childhood. I think because my parents are like kind of from the '70s, and it was weird, but I didn't find the catharsis of like recognizing old telephone handsets very cathartic. Oh yeah. Also, I feel like Dustin Hoffman and like sort of to a lesser extent the other guy from Dog Day Afternoon. There's this sense of like perpetual adolescence, which I relate to, but it just
Al Pacino, dude.
yeah, Al Pacino. But it just kind of like
Way too.
annoys me. I mean,
Yeah,
I get it was new at the time, so I'm not just trying to complain.
yeah.
Uh,
They're kind of like man children at least, yeah, at first or
in a
whatever.
way.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sorry. That's all I have to say, which is more complaining. I wish I had more constructive things to say. I should make more notes next time, honestly.
Well, those are good movies to compare. I mean, how do you? And if they're good, I like the face. We could do a face off. Even.
Yeah.
What kind of grade would you give Kramer versus Kramer?
Kramer is definitely better because I watched the whole thing. I don't know, it's weird, man. It's like if I don't enjoy it, I almost don't really want to grade it. As harsh as that sounds, but I give it like I don't know, like a C plus. I know it sounds really bad, but I'm not saying it's. I'm just
That
judging
is
my
bad
enjoyment there. Yeah, I guess so.
for a movie that
Yeah,
you just said you enjoyed. Yeah, that's pretty
yeah, but
bad.
this is without grade inflation, dude. Like it's an exponential curve. It doesn't mean the movie's actually
What kind of grade inflation would you apply?
well, grade inflation just means like if I had grade inflation, I'd give it like a B plus.
Why would it grade inflate? I don't. What do you mean in terms of
It's
how it compares, how it racks up with the other films?
no, well, let me see. How do I explain it? It's kind of a. It's just like if I'm
Like
grading how much enjoyment I got out of it.
you're
I
saying, you're
didn't really
saying
enjoy
that.
it that much, but that's only because it's like an exponential curve. Like the movies I really enjoy, like I really enjoy. But like relative to how like good it actually is, kind of like it's a B plus. I think it's like objectively really good. I don't think it's actually that deficient. I didn't really connect with it
You-
somehow.
You're saying what you're trying to say in different in no in less certain words
Yeah,
is that the all the other movies that are bad
yeah,
way make this movie look better than it actually is. Because
yeah, perhaps.
there's just so many bad movies that the median shifts, and this
Yeah,
movie, it seems like it has a higher median or has a higher position
yeah,
above the median.
yeah, something like that. I mean, I know that's kind of mealy mouthed and disparaging, but that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, I'll agree. I don't know if it's like an A. I don't. I wouldn't go with an A.
Yeah,
And calling it a B feels a little bit treacherous. Like, why would I?
yeah,
Do I really want to? Am I gonna have to eat my words? Am I gonna have to eat my words eventually?
funny. Yeah,
I mean, it's like, but
the air on the side of optimism. I don't
I'll
know.
give it a B minus. I give it a B minus.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give it a C. Like, yeah, fuck you. Why would you give the? How dare you give this movie a C?
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
But then Dog Day Afternoon, I give a B. I give it a B plus.
Yeah.
I'll rank it higher than Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh, interesting. That makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked for a bit, 44 minutes. We could do a little bit longer, I think.
Yeah. We did talk about those jazz albums as well. Although, again, I have really nothing good to say.
we had, did you
Nothing
listen to
interesting
them?
to say. Yeah, listen to them both.
Okay, oh that's great. So I'll listen. I haven't actually listened to the
Okay.
second one.
Okay.
Or I haven't listened to them with enough of a with a small enough window for me to actually compare them. So I'll do that tomorrow, and we could reconvene at some point in the week.
All right, sure.
But let's talk about a movie because this I like to separate. I don't like to mix my scotch and my soda. Like
Yeah.
we'll talk about the films right now, and then we'll talk about
Sure, sure. I mean,
what what other movie have you seen? We just hash it out.
oh gosh, I should look at my recently viewed list. Like I said, I saw Five Easy Pieces. I didn't like it. I mean, I'd rather talk about a movie I like, but I don't really see movies I like that often. Annoyingly.
We can
Oh
do.
yeah, I'll tell you,
I'll,
man. I saw an amazing movie that I loved. Um, I saw I saw Porco Rosso. You know, the Ghibli movie.
ooh, I haven't. I don't remember it well. I've seen a bit of it.
It's really worth rewatching. I mean, I don't really like Spirited Away that much because it feels like it's just like I don't know. I don't really like it, even though that's like supposed to be their best movie. But I sort of really like their earlier movies when they were still kind of action oriented. They kind of almost got like too sedate or something for me. Like I don't know.
Huh.
But
I'll have to watch Porco Rosso, but I'm not
yeah,
going to
I
talk
can just
about it because
yeah.
I just haven't seen it.
Okay.
I don't even know if I've really seen it top to bottom before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like, we've all seen it when we were like 5 or something and it didn't really sink in, but it's a very like I don't know, it's just an adult it's sort of an adult movie. It's a beautiful movie. It's just
All those movies are like gospel to me. Those like
yeah,
Ghibli, Miyazaki films are like, especially Spirited Away. It's like,
yeah.
wow, like, and they're like the apotheosis of children's, animation. Really,
Yeah,
it's like,
they really are. They're truly magical. They're like way more magical than Disney, obviously.
okay, so what? Okay, let's go down the grocery list.
Okay.
What else have we seen?
What else have I seen lately?
Yeah, we got to
Jeez.
find one we both can
I know,
discuss.
man, but there's a wide list out there. I haven't watched that many movies recently.
Yeah,
Uh
who has the time? I know, but keep it coming, keep it coming.
uh let's see. Oh yeah, well you definitely didn't watch this one. I started watching another one by Ghibli. Not The Cat Returns, but the one before The Cat Returns. Do you know that one? Maybe not. I
No,
don't know.
no Ghibli's, dude. I'm telling you, I can't. I really have to actually watch that fresh before I can talk about it.
All right, for sure.
There's very few ones I just remember. I know
I know off
I
the
have
top of
retention for.
your head. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if we're gonna find any. Let me see if there's anything on my list.
Well, what live action movies have you seen? I mean, you guys seen something? I mean, did you ever watch
Oh, I saw My Fair Lady recently, sort of recently.
Was that the one with Rex Harrington and
Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can talk about that one. The one thing that really got me with that was the set design was like so sort of clustered and sort of
Yeah.
claustrophobic, and
Yeah.
I felt like it kind of it threw off the whole like like romantic sort of
Oh, that's
um,
interesting because the set design was sort of so gloomy and dark.
yeah, I mean it has this otherworldly appeal. It's like
Yeah.
England, right? This
Yeah.
is England.
I know. I totally know what you mean.
It reminds me of my childhood a little bit because I think I watched some like VHS tapes that were like English produced, and they
Yeah.
had that kind of lighting that you only get in the
Oh
UK,
yeah.
and it's like it reminds me of my childhood in an unfathomable way. But
That's pretty cool.
other than that, though, I mean, I think that was my main gripe with it is the
The
set, but
conflict. Yeah.
setting. But I think I think it's fair to say that the I really liked Rex Harrington's character.
Yeah, he has some really funny lines.
Very very humorous.
Yeah.
I don't have the memory for him, but he was always making fun of her, and he was always fascinated by phonetics or whatever, and he was always bragging about being a phonetician or whatever. And
Yeah.
he would like talk. He would like send correspondence to people all over the world and talk
Yeah.
about phonetic and write about phonetics and
Yeah.
correspond about it. And I think at one point he even like asked someone like he has like talks to like a colleague, and they're like, what sound is that the grasshopper noise of Southeast Indus?
Yeah. I
No,
remember that. Yeah.
that is the Brazilian wallaby. Or they're talking like almost sounds like biology, but they're actually just talking about like
Yeah. Phonetic.
sounds made by the human mouth.
Yeah. That's funny.
So it was kind of
Yeah.
yeah, it's a quirky film. It's all based off of George Bernard Shaw's play Pygmalion.
Yeah.
and I read a good bit of that. It's
Really?
actually it's almost identical. Like it's the name changed more than the actual script.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. That's fascinating, actually. Um, I mean, I feel like if I had one criticism, it would just be like I don't really buy the conversion of him from a hater to a lover. It sort of seems rather abrupt and rushed. But the good part is just the like magical sort of, yeah, it's kind of like a fairy tale. This like London that it just seems unreal when they're doing this like huge ball scene, and it's all widescreen, but it's in gorgeous color, but it's like in the '60s as well. So it's just like, well, it's not the '60s, but it looks like some distant dreamlike past, and it's so elegant and beautiful. I like all that, and that inspired me because I thought Audrey Hepburn was just incredible in that.
Darling,
Yeah,
darling,
I saw
darling.
what's that other one? Oh yeah, Breakfast at Tiffany's. I couldn't even get through it. That one was just like horrible.
I like that one more because Breakfast at Tiffany's was I feel like it had a real strong climax, whereas I feel like this movie sort of didn't. I feel like this movie was
Yeah,
a lot.
no, definitely that. My Fair Lady doesn't really have a strong climax, but I didn't get all the way to. Oh my gosh, I also saw Sabrina. I think that's what it's called. Another Audrey Hepburn movie. I guess.
Well, I haven't seen Sabrina, so let's just talk about the first.
Yes, yeah. Well, I couldn't get all the way through Brexit Tiffany's. She's so coquettish and so annoying, like crawling into some like Midwestern stud's apartment at like 4 in the morning and just being like, "Oh, we're all so arch and droll." I don't know. I'm just being a hater, but what can I do? What
Well,
can I do?
that's a lot of women is that they kind of they have to be demure or not. Well, they have to like
I
downplay
wouldn't
their
call it demure.
feelings. Not demure. Well, she was demure in the aspect that she downplayed her feelings a lot.
Yeah,
But I mean, maybe that's
I
not.
didn't get that far. To be honest, pretty picky, I suppose, or something. Pretty impatient.
Yeah, I guess she wouldn't be demure, but she was reserved in a way. She was reserved because she didn't have the confidence to express the bravery to express herself,
Mm.
and you feel less sympathetic to her because she seems sort of like a tool or something.
Yeah,
She seems sort of like like sort of douchey or something. But in the My Fair Lady, it's like she's actually the vulnerable one, and
yeah,
Rex Harrington
definitely.
is sort of the douche and the tool.
Yeah, yeah,
Which is, I guess it's obvious,
yeah.
but it tells you something about Audrey Hepburn's sort of career and how she tries to change perspective.
Mm.
I think the Rex Harrington character was kind of what made the movie, and I also think that Tiffany, or not Tiffany, sorry, I forget her name. Tiffany's the jewelry store, but the department store, but
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
I always thought Breakfast at Tiffany's was about like a diner until I actually figured out what it was. It was a
I just thought it was
completely
like, I
different
just thought it was like the
story.
Breakfast Club or something.
Yeah, it seemed like kind of in that vein, but actually it's extremely different. And
Yep.
it's about opulence, wealth, ostentatiousness, and sort of the moral plummet that you have to sort of get it embodied to live that lifestyle, and how people try to escape from it, even if they don't really understand fully that that's what they're trying to do.
Wow.
Um, and I think it was a beautiful film. I mean, it's like about this guy is this down in his luck writer who doesn't have a shot in hell. He's only written one book, but he thinks he can write several more. He's basically poor, and then this woman is very very comfortable.
Yeah.
She has all her needs attended to, and yet somehow they love each other. I think that's a very beautiful thing. I think My Fair Lady is a little more of like a schoolyard heroics kind of movie where it's like, oh, she's a dork and he's disdainful, but they work together and they figure out a way to have a rapport at the end.
Yeah.
It kind of comes across as some of more of more childish,
Yeah.
because I think in real life you don't like love your enemy to the point that you end up marrying them out.
Yeah. Definitely.
Even though she was used as this wild project of his, which I thought
Yeah.
was petulant,
Yeah.
but
Or horse or something.
Impetuous. I mean, I mean, he has this attitude, like his haughty attitude that his career matters so much, and yet obviously he's just running bizarre experiments on his subjects.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's like cruel and unusual punishment.
yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Have
Anyway,
you?
so we'll wrap it up there. We talked about 4 movies, I guess.
Wait,
Um,
I want to ask. Have you ever seen Casablanca?
the other, no, I have. Yes, I have. The other thing about Breakfast at Tiffany's is that it's a minimalized set. Like I think there's only like his apartment is like the main stage, and then
Yeah,
for the film, and there's also a party scene that was pretty extensive.
yeah,
But and then there's maybe a scene outside in the rain that I can remember. But for like, and I think it was originally intended as a play, or it was written by Capote, who wrote plays. But
yeah.
it had a very pared down. So I mean, I'm a big fan of Capote in a sense because I think he always knew what he was doing, and you don't say that about a lot of people. And so that's why I think it was. But Shaw versus Capote is a tough one because they're both excellent playwrights or authors or screenwriters or whatever the case may be. You
Yeah,
know,
Fabulists.
fabulous. Well, fabulous means someone that just lies a lot.
Oh, I thought it was someone who came up with the fables.
I think initially, of course, it did, but
Oh yeah, it's like
the parlance of our times, it means
okay.
someone who just
It's like
lies a lot.
fabrications, huh?
Yeah, fabulous is someone that's like had one cool story that everyone loved, and then they're like everyone demanded to hear more stories, and they couldn't resist like just making up new ones.
That's really funny. Wow.
All right. Well, we got about an hour in, so I mean that's better than nothing. Especially since it'll be immortalized on my YouTube channel. That was
Yeah,
a bad joke.
that
All
was
right. All right. I'll hang up though. Talk to you later.